Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immigration Live with Lee. I'm your host, Attorney Lee Marvin, and today is the New Year's edition with Immigration Live with Lee, which is December 30th, 2024. This is the last live that we have for the entire year of 2024, okay? So we're here, meaning we is you and me, here to answer immigration questions. So could you post your questions in the comment section so I can get to your questions? You'll see that I'm still in Colombia. I was here last week as well on that live. If you missed it, you could go back to my YouTube channel. You can see that broadcast from last week. But I'm still here in Colombia, beautiful, a little bit warm Colombia, which is great. We got a friend, Michael from Boston. Happy New Year to you too, Michael from Boston. Appreciate it very much. So Michael reminds me to remind you all to let me know where you're joining from tonight. It is a thing I do every week, and I love finding out where people are because I love geography and cultures. So let me know where you're joining us from. Okay, Los Angeles. We've got a friend, My Armenia, joining us from LA. Okay, so thank you for joining us. Mr. Grinch is here again. Hello, Mr. Grinch. Thank you for joining us. Costa Rica, Happy New Year to you too, sir. I appreciate it very much. You're here every week, and I sincerely appreciate your support. So Happy New Year in Costa Rica. Very different in Costa Rica or Colombia than it is in Nashville or Michigan, which is where I'm usually joining you all from, is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's my home office is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I do help people from really any state in the country and any country on the planet. Right now I'm in Colombia, okay? So, and we've got Mr. Tusk. Hello, Mr. Tusk. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you want to tell us where you're from or if you just want to start asking your questions. So anyone who has questions, please just go ahead and type it into the comment section. I will get to those questions as soon as I see the questions. So please, okay. Mr. Grinch is going to be back in Nashville next week. Thank you, Mr. Grinch. We look forward to seeing you. Connections, hopefully the same, but next week. So safe travels to you. I'm going to be returning home later this week too. So I wish you lots of luck as you travel from Costa Rica. Mr. Tusk, let's see what you have here. You filed the 751 based on cruelty. Got a request for evidence and responded, and now the case says the fingerprint was taken. What does that mean? Okay, so if you get a notice and it says online, it gives you a notice that says your fingerprints were taken, it means that you've already attended biometrics, which is your fingerprint. They take your fingerprint, they take a picture of you, and they put it in your profile. That's a part of the overall process. If that update says that fingerprints were taken, either you already went to the service center and had your picture taken, or they're about ready to assign you to the service center. So it's a good thing. It means your case is definitely moving forward. So that's good to know. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Lynette, thank you again for joining us. You're joining us from New York, so thank you kindly for that, and Happy New Year to you too. Okay, now let me go down to Damien. Okay, Damien Thompson. When paying for a marriage green card filing fee, what is the best way to do it? Money order, debit card? Because recently the applications are being rejected because of payment issues. Really? Okay. So typically speaking, I have stayed away from the online filing mess like crazy because of these sorts of problems. When you do a paper filing, it's always with a money order or a check, and I've never had a problem. You do it online, I don't know, because I've not wanted to risk my clients' processes to file online and have it be messed up. I will say that if you do it online, you only have the option of paying online. You can't send in a money order, okay, like you can with a paper filing. So Damien, if you've already filed online, you've got to do the debit card or a credit card. You cannot do it any other way. So payment issues, yeah, they do get rejected again, which is why I typically don't do things online, but give it a shot. And I know that there's usually a link, or there's usually a way to reach somebody about questions about technical difficulties. Try that out, Damien, and that might help you. Okay. 1 second here. I'm getting a bunch of questions. Okay, let's see here. I do want to thank everyone who's joining us, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. We always have tons of people on all those platforms. Usually Instagram, we're bombarded with people on Instagram. So thank you kindly for joining us on Instagram. Let me see here. I already have a bunch of questions on Instagram. So let me take a look. Let's see. Okay. So the question, I-751 is already approved for a 10-year green card, and I applied for an N-400, which is naturalization, under the 3-year rule. I got an interview scheduled for naturalization, and the letter shows that it will be a combo interview with the 751. Yes, thank you for this question. This is Nathan Hendrike. Very, very, very good question. I just did a video literally 2 weeks ago about this. So immigration, they're usually behind schedule on reviewing the removal of condition, which is the 751 process. So a lot of times when people have, they file under the 3-year rule to get the naturalization quicker, what they will do is surprise people. And the fact that you got to notice that they're going to do that is pretty amazing, because most of the time they just surprise you. They have you show up to the interview for naturalization. They say, hey, is your wife here with you or your husband? And if you say, no, they say, well, that's not good, because we're also going to do your removal of condition process before we move forward with the naturalization process. It's become more common to do that because they're still trying to catch up with the backlog. So that's what that means, is that they're going to do the removal of condition before they're going to do your naturalization. So recommendation, and this is what's in my video that I did, take your spouse with you, okay? So take your spouse, because otherwise they're not going to move forward and they're going to reschedule your whole thing, and you're going to go back in a month or two. So watch that video and subscribe and all that good stuff. But that's what's going on. So take a look at that video, but that's exactly what's going on, okay? So you should not be worried at all. You should not be worried. You just be prepared, okay? Again, check out my video on YouTube about that. Again, it was literally 2 weeks ago before I came down to Colombia. I recorded that video. So take a look at it. If you've got questions, I'm going to put in the comment section. Whoops. I'm going to put the link if you need to schedule a time to talk to me directly. You do it by using this link, okay? So I'm going to post on all the platforms here, and then I'm going to go back to answering your questions, okay? So yeah, it's not something to be worried about, but just be prepared, okay? Next question on Instagram. I-130 was received by USCIS in October of last year. No updates since January this year. Is that normal timing? So Michelle, I will tell you to, again, go to my YouTube channel, do a search, because I have a video about that tells you how you can check what timing is normal. So again, everything, as I say every week, everything comes down to the relationship, when it's filed, in the country, okay? Because all those things have an impact on how quickly they process interviews, okay? So take a look at that video. So that period of time, again, it depends on your relationship with your sponsor. Everything comes down to that relationship. So if you want to post that in the comments here, I can maybe give you more information. Otherwise, I direct you to my YouTube channel and do a search about processing times, and it'll tell you where to look, how to look for processing times, and what it means to be normal. Spoiler alert, it's on the USCIS website. You can go there and check processing times. And I have the instructions on how to do that, okay? It walks you through it. It's pretty easy once you know how to do it, okay? Okay, let me see here. Navin Bailey, does it take 15 months for a fiancé visa? Does the full process, even after the interview, take around 2 years? Yes, to both those questions. I found that 15 months is pretty typical for a fiancé visa. It could be quicker. Usually it's not that much longer, but that's just to get the interview scheduled. Then you've got to jump through all the hoops with the embassy, whatever country you're dealing with. The embassies are more busy in other countries than they are in other countries. So it can take up to 2 years. Absolutely can. I did. I do videos about this, and I had somebody who was kind of rude. Actually, wrote a rude comment about how, oh man, you make it sound like it's hard to do a fiancé visa, and ha ha ha, it's not. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not true because it's hard if the government treats you poorly or they don't process things the right way. So if they make you wait longer, you don't have any control over that, and that can create all sorts of problems with you. So all these things impact your overall bottom line on how long these things take. So I would say 15 months is minimum. Probably these days is 15 months. It could take up to a year and a half to 2 years is what I usually tell people. Okay. Okay. Getting a lot of questions here. So let me get over to these questions. And again, I really appreciate everyone asking the questions. But I see that not many people have told me where they're joining from. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's just a curiosity for me. Okay. So where you join us from is always good for the other participants. Okay, let me see here. Okay, let me go down here. The Real Bernard, thank you for joining us. One of our loyal followers is always on here asking questions. My wife and I are going to file our marriage green card application next month. Excellent. Wife doesn't have the money to file for my son until March of 25. He is 15 years old. That is not a problem. Real Bernard, I'm assuming your name is Bernard, but that is not a problem. His age, he's still young enough that that's not going to create any problems. If he was getting close to 21, yeah, then I'd say that you have problems. But March of 2025, you're in very good shape. So don't worry about that. Okay. If you have questions, again, you know the link. You've been on here most weeks, so you know how to reach out to me if you have questions. Okay. So let me go down here. Who else do we have? Okay. Here's a question that I always am watching for these sorts of questions. If you've overstayed a tourist visa, what other ways can you take to get back into status? Hugely complicated because there really aren't any ways to do that, especially if you're a tourist visa. Now, there's times where it's possible to change to a different visa, but most of the time you have to leave the United States before you can do things to return again. It's quite intentional from the government that they make it difficult for people. Once you enter with a certain visa, they don't want you just playing the system. So they say you got to leave before returning. That's not always true, but most of the time that is absolutely how they do it intentionally to trip people up. Okay. So again, I will tell people with a situation like this, it's probably best to do a consultation so I could find out more about your situation. And that link I already posted above. So look above in the comment section for that link and you can book a time to talk to me directly. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get away from Instagram real quick and go over to our friends on YouTube. Okay. So here's a question from Nahum. What materials do you give your clients when they are filling out the N400 for the civics and history test? Good question. I will absolutely answer that question. You know, I give secrets away all the time. They're no longer secret because when people ask me, I typically tell them. So this is very Well, it's not really a secret anyway, because I think I've done videos about this. Again, check out my YouTube channel, right? You're joining us from Facebook. Go to my YouTube channel, check it out, type in a search. I have all these videos for free. Check it out, because the answer is you can go on to the government website, and there's a ton of really good material there. Why is it really good? Because it's designed by the government for the government's test, right? So go right to the source. So Nahum, go to uscis.com or .gov, whatever it is, and check out their naturalization. Check out their study materials. It's all on there, okay? Check out my YouTube channel, because I do videos about it too, but there's a lot of really good information, and that's always where I direct my clients. Go to the source. Whenever you're doing stuff like this, go directly to the source, so that way you know that the information you got is exactly what they want you to get, okay? So let's see, who else do we have here? Okay, here's a question from my YouTube channel. Juana, how close am I for approving the I-130 if it was January 4th of 2024? USCIS is actively reviewing it since January 4th of 2024. I'm requesting for my wife. I'm a citizen. Thank you. Okay, so, okay, approved I-130, January. You've got to be pretty stinking close, I got to say, because typically speaking, when I file for my clients, it's typically for a U.S. citizen, it's usually around a year. Sometimes it can be a little bit more, but typically it is around a year. Again, check out my YouTube channel, because I do a video about it, which is the processing times. How to find out processing times. You go on the USCIS website, and there's a spot where you can look to see where the current processing times are. It's a little bit different now because of the election and the fact that Trump is going to be coming into power real soon. Processing times do change quite a bit, so check that out. They will tell you what they say is the closest processing time that you can expect, okay? Okay, so there's that question. Let me go back over here. Okay, so had a question. Okay, I'm getting a question from, it looks like my other channel. Okay. Okay, this is a really good question, because this relates to things that are not strictly applications, but they're related to other parts of immigration. It's very messy because there's several different ways immigration, different authorities that approve immigration. And this question is, I had a brother currently on asylum. He is skilled and currently considering the EB-1A or the national interest waiver. Will this be possible? Okay, so that question is very interesting, because you're dealing with the immigration court system, I assume, unless you're dealing with the affirmative asylum process. Typically speaking, depending on what your asylum claim is, if you have other avenues or other ways that you can move forward with an immigration request, typically you can do that even if you have an asylum case pending. Sometimes they look into it and say, hey, you're just playing games with us. There's no way that asylum case was legit, so now you're in trouble because we're going to prevent you from moving forward. Okay, so be careful with that, but typically speaking, you're able to make other requests if you're inside the United States under a certain status. And if you've had your asylum case accepted by immigration, that means you're under a status where you're able to try to do other things. But be very careful, because a lot of times it comes down to what your asylum request is and whether immigration is going to read into it. I had a client that didn't listen to me, believe it or not, and went to another provider in the area because I wouldn't help. I wouldn't apply for another process because I was worried about his asylum claim, okay? He went somewhere else and it jacked up his process. and immigration basically accused him of committing fraud. I told him not to do it, but he didn't listen. So I guess, oh well, you play, you pay. Okay, let me look at this other question because I had some other questions that I prepared here. Okay, so, and again, please post your questions. We got only 10 minutes left before this epic New Year's edition of Immigration Live with the Lee. Okay, here's a question. And this is in relation, this is on my YouTube channel because it was a question related to a video I did about denaturalization. Have you guys heard of that before? If not, you gotta check out my channel because it's pretty important stuff. Once you're denaturalized, it means removing your naturalization. You become a US citizen, you think you're good? Nope, you can lose your naturalization. So check out that video on YouTube, okay? So once you're denaturalized, question is, I guess you need a new passport from another country. How do you get that? Until you get it, where do you go? Which country? So that can be awkward because certain countries require you to give up your citizenship to become a US citizen. India is the first one that comes to mind. If you give up your Indian citizenship and you lose your American citizenship, that's all sorts of problems, okay? So that is a high level of question that we need a consultation. So if Desi, Pat, it doesn't know, it doesn't matter. If this is you, you need to reach out to me and schedule a consultation because I need to help you. You need help with this because this is not a common problem and there's not many solutions, okay? Okay, another question. Let me go over to my channel here. Okay, and I like going here because I can post it for you guys to see. Okay, so the question, this looks like a follow-up to earlier. I answered a request for evidence to USCIS for the I-485 adjustment status, but I haven't received an update yet. So my Armenia, everything comes down to timing of it. If you answered your request for evidence, I don't know where you are, what your processing center is, but they should be able to tell you roughly how long it takes for them to get back to you. If you responded, it's just a waiting game. I know it stinks, I know it's annoying, but at least you responded, okay? Because I know people that miss their deadline and then they have a lot more trouble than just having to wait for their 485 to move forward, okay? So I think you're probably good. But again, I'll post the link again. You probably have seen a lot of my videos already because you're joining us from YouTube. Check out, do a search about this. I have videos about it, okay? Or schedule that consultation. Okay, so this question from King Power. I responded to I-864, which is the Affidavit of Support, RFE a while back, but I have not received an update. What could be the reason? Well, what could be the reason is that the information you provided potentially didn't actually answer their question. That is very common, okay? So immigration asks very specific questions. Or it could be that your sponsor doesn't meet the requirements and they're getting ready to issue a notice of an intent to deny because they typically don't give you a second bite at the apple, which is a second request for evidence. So that could be what it is, that the information you provided didn't satisfy them. And I tell people all the time, if you need help with these things, go to somebody who's done this for 13 years. That's me. Because sometimes when you send stuff to immigration, they don't take it as seriously as if, unless you have an attorney. It's just the facts, right? Immigration would rather deal with a lawyer than they would somebody that does it themselves. So that's my guess, speculation. Of course, schedule or book a time if you want to talk to me about it, okay? Let me go down here. Okay, this is a nice one. Viviana, thank you. If you're traveling to Medellin, or my pronunciation might not be right, Pereira, lo siento, and need advice on where to go or what to do, let me know. Kindly, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. It's great. We have lots of our fans, followers who offer us things like that. Usually people are asking me, but when people offer me, I really appreciate it. Absolutely, Viviana, I appreciate it sincerely. Um, so Medellin, it's been a couple years since I've been there. My wife was there just in 2024, but thank you very much for that. It's an incredible city. If you guys have never been to Medellin, if you've never been to Colombia, I feel bad for you. But Medellin, absolute, is a must see in Colombia. Okay. All right. So let me move on. Okay, this question from our YouTube channel. Do you know any information about people who apply for parole in place for families after cancellation by the court? That what's going to happen to those people who apply um, after cancellation by the court? Now, I'm assuming, Isa, you're referring to the Biden parole in place, because there's a regular parole in place which hasn't been touched by anyone, and then the Biden parole in place, which has permanently been touched by the court system. Okay, that's done. Okay, so I would say I did a video about this, about what happens if the Biden parole in place is done. Where do you go next? I did a video. Do a search, since you're joining us from YouTube. Do a search on my YouTube channel for that. If not, click the link that I posted above for the answer to that, meaning you can schedule a time to talk to me and I will tell you exactly what you need to do. A lot of it depends on what your process is, and I recognize your name, so I may have already talked to you about certain aspects of your case, but you can always book a time to talk to me about that. Okay. Okay, let's go down. Aha, we've got another friend joining us. Okay. Very worried about so many Nicaraguans that could be deported once their humanitarian parole expires. So, Umberto, I feel for you and I fear for you as well, because the politics of immigration is horrible, right? The government does the best they can most of the time, but often people are guinea pigs for the government's politics, okay? So the different initiatives that were done under Biden are absolutely not going to last under Trump. Okay, so it depends on which one was this. This was humanitarian parole. We might need to talk, Umberto, because a lot of it depends on what humanitarian type parole you were given when you entered, and whether you were able to file for asylum while you're under that parole. So a lot of it depends on that. It's not necessarily over. There's certain countries, certain problems that I think are going to continue to be supported by the government, by Trump. I don't know. There's a lot of politics out there, but there's processes that the government, I don't fear that they're going to get rid of necessarily, but you just never know. So stand by, stay connected to my channel. You're joining us from Facebook, but join my YouTube channel, subscribe to it, because when I do videos to help people figure out what's going to happen in this weird transition, you're going to know when you click on the, you know, the thumbs up thing that gives you notifications. That way you're always up to date. Okay. So let me go back over here before we leave, because this is almost our time. Okay. One moment here. Okay. Okay. So that's what I'll say to the politics of changes in presidents. Okay, is that there absolutely are things that are going to go bye-bye. Okay, but not everything. So don't freak out. Just pay attention to to my channel, and I will tell you what's going to happen. And again, every week you join us live so you can ask these questions. So when things happen and you hear things in the news after Trump takes power, there's going to be a ton of people needing answers. This is the best way to do it. Why is it the best? Because it's fun and because it's free. And every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I call it Detroit time because I'm from Michigan, is when I'm on here doing this. And it is officially the end of our time together. So check me out next week. Happy New Year. I think everyone celebrates New Year. So happy New Year to you, your family. Stay safe, stay well, have a lot of fun because we have a lot to be grateful for and we have a lot to celebrate. Okay, there's a lot of things in the future that can be done to help your family, like this question here: easiest way for citizens to bring their siblings to the US. You might need to schedule consultation. Because the best way is a petition, a family-based petition, okay? And I don't have time to go over it right now, but check my YouTube channel because I have many videos about that. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. I really appreciate it. Next week, I'll be back in Grand Rapids, Michigan, joining you. So thank you for joining me while I was here in Columbia, and have a wonderful New Year's. See you later.